Welcome to the Motoring Podcast, a Classic Retro Modern special edition. Hello, I'm Alan, and as usual, it's a short interview special edition on a Friday. That means no Andrew, yay! But instead, I'm joined by Ian Robertson and Richard Dredge from Classic Retro-Modern. Chaps, hello.
Hi.
Afternoon, Alan, or evening, in fact.
Well, yes, almost. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's that sort of odd mixed time when we're recording. But hopefully hopefully you've all raced to your podcast players, and this is like 7:10 on Friday morning. That's what we really want. Chaps, I've only said your names. How are you involved with Classic Retro Modern then?
Well, I'm the publisher, so I'm in charge of making sure that all the behind-the-scenes things goes on. Make sure that the team are filled with coffee, Jaffa cakes, and all fulfilled, all happy. I do all the backroom stuff, the finances, the liaison with printers, all that sort of thing. And really, the rest of it is all on Mr. Dredge's shoulders. He's got to organise the flat plan and everything else. So, I take a back seat in that respect.
Okay, so I'm Richard, and I've worked with Ian for quite a few years now. Despite that, Ian thinks that I've got the potential to be a good editor, so he's asked me to get involved. It's my job to make sure that the pages within Classic Retro Modern are filled with content. Hopefully, some of it quite good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, hopefully, yes. I've just realised, by the way, I plunged straight into that, and I said Classic Retro Modern, asked how you're involved, but we haven't actually told anyone what Classic Retro Modern is. So
that's what I was thinking.
Yes, they're probably twigged by now that it's that we're talking about a print magazine. But do you guys want to give a bit more of a description, say, and let us all know what it's about?
Yeah, we're covering cars from 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000s. The kind of cars that you remember from your childhood, from what your dad had on the driveway, what you probably bought as a first car, second, third, fourth. It's the kind of cars that perhaps broke down every 5 seconds, and you're always under the bonnet tinkering with and improving. And really, it's all about the cars that have special meaning to us. So we're focusing not just on modern classics as some of the other magazines do. Mm-hmm. We're showing a complete mix right the way through the ages, and when we're featuring the cars that we absolutely love.
Right. Okay, cool. Because that was one of the things I was going to ask was about what made it different. But it's that breadth of time that it covers, I guess, really.
Yes.
I don't think that in itself makes us different. I think there are magazines out there that cover those, but we've got several USPs. For us, the design is a USP. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult to get a design that looks really nicely done, as in someone's put some effort in, but it doesn't look overdone. And what we've tried to do is get that balance right. So there's a friend of mine who saw some early mock-ups, he said it's heavy on the design, but it's not overdone. Mm-hmm. It doesn't look like you've tried too hard. So there's a design element. There's also the content mix. So quite a lot of the magazines out there play safe because it's all about the advertising. And we can understand that. We're now learning the importance of juggling content so that we've got the right mix of mainstream and not mainstream. Mm-hmm. But the bottom line for us really is that we're putting together the magazine that we think we would like to read. The other important element, obviously, for any magazine is the content, as well as the design as the content. And for us, we think we're taking a few more risks with the content. We're writing about cars that maybe some other magazines wouldn't feature. We have to cover the mainstream too, because I think ultimately, although people say they want to read about stuff that they've never read about before, from another project I've been involved in, a personal project, I've realised that people actually are comforted by reading about stuff they're familiar with. So for us, it's that blend of mainstream and non-mainstream. It's the design. And I think that we've got a winning formula with the team as a result.
Fantastic. Because especially, I mean, you were talking about design just there. That seems to be becoming more and more important when it comes to print magazines as opposed to web and stuff, doesn't it? It really is. It really is becoming a selling point, I think.
I think it is. And what we're seeing is that increasingly in the publishing world, margins are getting very tight. And the result of that is a lot of cost cutting, and magazines are increasingly having to be put together quite quickly, and they don't have the time to spend on luxurious layouts. I'm not tarring all magazines with the same brush. There are some fantastic magazines within our sector, and we're up against some very stiff competition. But I think for us, the USP is that ultimately we're tackling the more affordable classics. We've nominally said up to 40 grand is where we are. We'll do over 40 grand. A lot of what we're doing is well under 40 grand. But the idea is that we're covering stuff that is largely affordable. And if you look at the magazines that are in that space, we think that we're doing something that's more style-led. We're doing something that has pages that stand out on the newsstand.
Okay.
I think for me, I'm not a traditional classic car buyer, an owner. I like what I like, and I pick up a classic car magazine, and I'm a bit bored, to be honest. I think it's a bit samey sometimes. And what I think we do differently is that I pick up our magazine, and I know I'm biased, but I've got a grin on my face from ear to ear because I turn over a page, and for instance, you can be reading all about, in the first issue, for instance, we've got a Reliant Regal, and you'll turn over another page, and you've got a Mark V Golf GTI on there. So it's all about mixing it up with other items. For instance, you'll see probably from the social media that the Mini 1275 GT is on the front cover.
Yes, I saw that. It looks good. I saw that earlier on. It looks really, really good.
Yeah, and then we've got it sharing space with the design and launch story of the Fiat Panda Mark 1. So we're really catering for all kinds of readers there. And we've got other areas. We've got Jaguar E-Type alongside Vauxhall Calibra. So you really have such a wide genre and different types of cars that we really, I think, will appeal to such a wide audience.
Is it wrong that I think the Calibra is more attractive looking than the E-Type, by the way?
No, not at all.
That's good. That's good. We can stay friends. There's I like what you were saying earlier on about cars that you started off, maybe your first car and cars that broke down and stuff. How long before there is a Toyota Yaris article?
It already fits in.
Yeah, we'll see.
The first Yaris went on sale in 1999, so
it was.
We've got a nominal sort of 2005-ish kind of cut off that will probably move as time goes on. So the first generation car is within our remit, in actual fact.
There we go. That's you got my subscription. You're sorted.
I think the thing is though that the idea of Classic Retro Modern is that we've got a real mix of types of article. So we're trying to bring readers in. So we've got a Your Classic section at the start of the magazine where pretty much anything goes. And if you've got a Yaris and you treasure it, we might give that a panel. What we wouldn't do is give it a multi-page feature at this stage. I think that'd probably be a little bit too much. But what we're trying to do, again, that differentiates us from everybody else, is not to distill everything down to the bare bones. We're trying to give our features space to really sing. So in there, we do a 6-page buying guide, and in the first issue, it's on the Jensen Interceptor. But then 6 pages is quite a lot for a feature. But what we've done is we've also incorporated a thing called an alternate guide. And an alternate guide is everything you need to know about the current question: buying, restoring, owning, upgrading. And it's a 10-page feature, although we've actually gone extra large in the first issue with 12 pages. And that's on the Mercedes SL R129. We're investing in fresh studio photography, which again isn't being done at the bottom end of the market in terms of the classic car affordability scale. So we've got fresh studio shoots, we've got big features, we've got a real breadth of articles in terms of the type of article, in terms of the subject matter. And we're trying to stay focused, and we're trying to make sure it's all quite fun, but we're not losing sight of the fact that a lot of what we do needs to be quite informative too.
Yeah.
And if it's informative, it has to be very credible. So we're bringing in experts at every stage to check that what we're doing, what we're publishing is accurate. As I say, we're trying to get readers involved with their cars. We're going out and interviewing people. So it's not just about cars, it's about people as well. And we think that we've got a really good mix.
Yeah.
For instance, our deputy editor, Gavin Braithwaite-Smith, he's a lifelong Renault Safran lover. And he's even convinced us to get the Renault Safran into the first issue. And so it's got,
once again,
a page on why he loves it.
Not that he's biased or anything.
No,
yeah, absolutely.
Never.
So I mean, you've got some pretty great people involved. So you've got yourselves, obviously. You've got Major Gav. Who else that our listeners would recognise? I think occasional host Richard Gooding.
He's working with us on the magazine. We've also got classic car writer Richard Heseltine, who's writes for a lot of magazines. He's contributing to it as well. So that's a real big name now that I absolutely love his writing. So he's one of the people that when I assembled the team for Classic Retro.Modern, it was looking at who I would like to get involved. I haven't got anyone involved here that I don't like. I can't work with people I don't like. I've got to like everyone, and except Richard Dredge, of course. But there you go.
But you can't manage without me.
No, exactly. But we have this hate relationship, Richard and I. But no, I had a dream team, and each of the people that we've got involved are absolutely fantastic at what they do. We've all got real expertise in the area that we look after. Even behind the scenes, the lady that looks after me and answers the phone subscriptions, and she's absolutely brilliant. Mish Arthur, I couldn't live without her. I really couldn't. She is absolutely brilliant. So, but each member of the team are classic car nuts. They all want to do the best job they possibly can, and I cannot speak highly enough for all of them. I really can't. Every single member of the team is really valuable.
Awesome.
Just to follow on from what Ian has said, I think what's really important with the Classic Retro Modern team is that we're all experienced, and we each have complementary skills, but we've been working together now for over 6 months to bring the first issue to press. And we've yet to fall out. We've yet to have any major disagreements, and we take the mick out of each other constantly. We don't need to have our egos massaged, and it's really difficult within the publishing industry to find a group of people who can work together really, really well. And I've known a few people who've tried to set up their own magazines in the past, and sometimes it's all fallen apart because there's a clash of egos. There's a clash of what people want to get out of the project, or they simply don't have the resource or sufficient skills to make it work. And I am probably the most risk-averse person you'll ever meet, or hear on a podcast. And
I don't know. I'm here too. Yeah.
and you know, I don't get involved in things that I think are not going to work out. And this really is something that I think, if we can't make it work, no one can. No bunch of independents could get together and do a project like we are under Ian's guidance, and make it work if we can't.
Awesome. So it sounds like a great team. It really does. It sounds like
really
the kind of people I'd want writing a classic car magazine, to be perfectly honest. And I'm not even I'm not blowing smoke or anything like that. Yeah, you should try that sometime. So the first issue comes out on the 1st of July.
That's it.
Am I right? Okay, so in almost a week's time from when we release this. So is there a particular? I mean, Richard, you've said you've gone all out on the guides for this first issue. Is there a particular story or a particular article from this first one or the second, possibly? Because I imagine you're working on that already. That really.
Issues.
Yeah, but is there an article that's really sort of, it's you able to do the thing that you've always really wanted to do, that you're particularly in love with?
Oh, we were doing really well until the last bit there, because he always wanted to do is not quite applicable here. I did an interview with Steph Holloway, who nobody had heard of until 2 years ago. And so I'm not actually a big fan of watching stuff on YouTube because I don't have the time. You know, it's very easy to lose days in YouTube without wanting to. So I'm not a great YouTuber. Even my own YouTube channel is quite sparsely populated. And when we came to launch the magazine, I thought we want something in there that really is off the wall in terms of content that nobody else would or has done. And I thought we need to get an interesting person in there. And I'd come across Steph Holloway. So for those who don't know, Steph Holloway runs a YouTube channel called I Drive a Classic. And she's larger than life. She's absolutely lovely. She wears very period clothing. She has big hair, and she's very jolly on screen. And she's just everyone's best mate. She's the kind of person that, you know, is I don't use the word adorable, you know, readily, but she is adorable. Mm-hmm. And she and I met up. I'd never had any communication with her at all. And I contacted her out of the blue and said, I'm involved in the launch of a new magazine and we'd love to interview you for the first issue. Would you be interested? And she gets a lot of correspondence from people because she's got 27,000 followers now, and that's all within 2 years. And most of those have arrived within the last year. So she made sure that I wasn't a nutter, even though I clearly am.
Well, she didn't check very well, did she?
I know. Yeah, she asked a friend of hers who I do know, and this friend lied to her and said that I am a legitimate person. So make of that what you will. Anyway, we met up very soon after, and we had like 6 hours just chatting on my sofa about cars and YouTube and stuff. And she's such a nice person, and the Steph Holloway who you see on YouTube is the real deal, and I just think it's really nice to get her involved because my understanding is that because she's a content producer, she's seen as maybe a bit of a rival by some classic car mags who won't give her airtime, and I think at Classic Retro Modern we see things a bit differently. Yes. We're all enthusiasts. We're all in it together. We don't see the problem with telling our readers that other people and other brands exist. We're all adults. You know, we are the new guys, so we're the ones who people, you know, won't know about, if anything, to be fair. But we don't have a problem with acknowledging, you know, other people and other brands. And we're really pleased, or I'm very pleased to have Steph in our first issue.
Yeah, me too.
Because we've got a great feature. Admittedly, I did write it, so slightly arrogant there. But she was such a lovely interviewee. So that was a very long answer to a very simple question.
No, it was cracking, and I'm really pleased to hear that too because I enjoy Steph's channel and her work as well. Because I think she's cracking in a real breath of fresh air in some of this stuff. Just it's a different take, and that's what you need. Yeah. It's not the same take but transferred to YouTube. Sorry, we're talking about something completely different other than the magazine now. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean. It's complementary. It's completely complementary, and I say that as someone from new media.
But that is the whole point about you saying, "Oh, we're not talking about the magazine." We don't see the magazine as the center of the universe. We see the magazine as something that fits into the classic car scene, that accepts that there are lots of other content providers out there. You know, we want people to like what we do, but we want to work with other people who are good at what they do and who are enthusiastic.
Yes, yeah. From my point of view, in terms of the magazine, I don't think I can pick out a single feature that I love because I just open the magazine at page 2 and I just smile. But what I will say is the photography throughout there, we use a mixture of period and, as Richard said previously, we've used some studio shots for the Ultimate Guide, and there's some on location. And the on location shots are absolutely fabulous. We've got Lotus Cortina in there, Mark II, and they just come to life on the page. They really do. When I first saw the contact strip with the photos, absolutely awesome. And it's the same with the Mini 1275 GT. Really, really excellent photography, and I think that's going to set us apart because while other magazines, yes, do very good photography, I think ours is better.
I think the key thing for me is not so much the quality of the photography as the design. We're not overdoing the design. The pages aren't cluttered, and I think it's very readable as a result.
Yeah, there's some really nice little flourishes and really nice little. As an example, we've got a feature on the Maserati Biturbo, and there's the Maserati logos on the page, and it just all connects so well together. It really does. And I'll name drop here, but our design director Roy, we are absolutely in awe of him. We really are, because he's done a fantastic job from start to finish. Originally, he was brought in to sort of design the brand for us before we move it on to someone else to design the magazine. And we loved what he was doing so much that we kept him on. And we're going to keep him for another couple of days, and then we'll see where we go from there. But no. But no, he's absolutely phenomenal. And I really don't think he knows how good he is, because he's so humble, cannot do enough to help in other areas that he wouldn't necessarily need to be involved in. But he is one part, he's a real essential part of the team. And everything that he's done in the first issue, I really thank him for, because he's done a phenomenal job. He really has.
I think another thing that's worth raising in terms of USPs is I'm a bit of an anorak when it comes to cars. And Richard Hesseltine, our key contributor, is an anorak. He's got quite an interesting picture library that's a personal library. I have a picture library that's actually a commercial thing. I actually sell pictures online through a website. And my library runs to probably a couple of million images. And a lot of them are quite mainstream, but I've got some really weird stuff. And Richard Hesseltine's got some really weird stuff. And we see Classic Retro Modern as a bit of an opportunity to try and out-geek each other, to try and compete with each other in coming up with weird angles. Yeah. I mean, I can't hold a candle to Richard Hesseltine because he's way more geeky than I'll ever be. But as an example, we've got the Mini 1275 GT on the front cover. And we did that because it's the Cooper's 60th anniversary this year. And so everyone else is doing the Cooper. And we thought, well, let's do something a little bit different. So we did the 1275 GT. And Richard Hesseltine, within his archive, had got some pictures and knew the story of a unique six-wheeled Mini 1275 GT built in the 70s for a Jersey millionaire.
As you do, yeah.
Well, and this is the thing, but that's the kind of thing that he and I have in our archives, pictures of really weird stuff that people don't know about. So what we've done is we've done a whole page, or most of a page, separate panel within the 1275 GT article, introducing our readers to the fact that this car was built and telling its story. And those are the kinds of things we have at our disposal, and that we're not afraid to put into the magazine to spice it up a bit.
Cool. Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it now that I know a bit more. But so first edition is out on, as I said, 1st of July.
Yeah.
What's the schedule after that? Is it monthly?
Yeah, monthly.
Monthly.
As close or as near to the first of the month as possible. So if the first is a weekend, it will go on sale before. And it's always on sale in the newsagents by the first. Cool. And it's available in W.H. Smith's, Martin McCall's, independent newsagents. It's available from our website, classic.Retro.Modern.com. You can download a digital version via Pocket Mags. It'll be on iTunes. We're going to conquer the world.
It sounds like it, yeah. Yeah, no, okay. So dead easy to get hold of is the outcome there. Wherever you would go to procure your magazine, the chances are that it's going to be there.
The most important thing, really, I think, is if you want a copy, if you order it from us, you get it free of charge postage. Okay. So it's delivered to your door. You don't even get dressed in the morning. You can just sit there in your pants and watch it, eating your cornflakes, reading your magazine. As
we were saying before we started recording, for those of us who are working from home at the minute, that's great.
Well, I mean, blatant plug time. What we're trying to do with our YouTube channel is to communicate with our potential readers. And so we've put some promotional films together around our first issues. There's a little bit of a promo about what Classic Retro Modern is all about. And there's also a video that's a walk through our first issue. So it tells you the features. You can see some of the pages 3-dimensionally and 2-dimensionally. Cool. And it gives you an idea of what the mag looks like and pretty much everything that's going to be in our first issue.
Brilliant.
So on YouTube, if you look up Classic Retro Modern,
and I'll put links in the show notes as well, so you can either go straight via YouTube, look up, as Richard said, look up Classic Retro Modern, but I'll have a link in the show notes as well to the Classic Retro Modern YouTube channel.
Excellent.
And the other way, all the usual stuff. So I assume you're on the appropriate social medias.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Gavin Braithwaite-Smith's the guru in charge of that, and he's done a fantastic job of getting some weird and wonderful stuff out there to really get people excited.
Cool.
So yeah, really, really good.
Brilliant. And I'll have a link to subscriptions as well. Can we do that online or?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, there's subscriptions via the website, via Twitter. We've got them everywhere. Everyone.
And what we've done for an added bit of fun is we've given each of our subscriptions a trim level. So if you buy the top of the range 3-year subscription, you're buying a Vanden Plus. But we also have L and HL and City and City X. So there's lots of different options.
Good old BL trim levels being reused and recycled like they used to be back in the day anyway. Yeah.
So for our you guys probably don't know, for our patrons on here, then we have similar. It's the different levels are different trim levels, but when I was setting it up, I wasn't nearly as committed to just making them British Leyland. They are far more generic.
When we change the prices at some point in the future, we may well swap over to Ford or Peugeot or Citroen or any other manufacturers out there. We've got millions to choose from.
Exactly. There's no shortage of trim level hierarchies.
Yeah.
No, chaps, that's I'm really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be great. I'll be making sure I get my copy on the 1st of July, just along with everyone else. Thank you both so much for your time. Absolutely.
Well, thank you for your time.
No problems. Absolute pleasure to have you both on, as always. I mean, you can hear Ian's been on before in both of the motoring podcasts. So if you want to hear his predictions for the year ahead, then you can delve back to that. He's still got a better score than I have. My prediction score is absolutely awful. But no, chaps, thank you very, very much for your time. And yes, all the links to all the different ways you'll be able to get Classic Retro Modern will be in the show notes. We'll be back very soon, but don't forget, between now and the next time, you can give us any feedback and share your thoughts for the show at Motoring Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, on Facebook, and on the contact page of motoringpodcast.com, the hub of all our activities. Please don't forget to leave a review and rating on Apple Podcasts or whatever your podcast app lets you do such a thing. To get in touch with me, it's best to use Twitter, where I'm at AJP Bradley. That's Bradley. And to get in touch with Andrew when he's around, search for Cracked Windscreen on Twitter. He and I will be back next week. But until then, I've been Alan Bradley, and safe motoring.